연습을 했는데 원래 앞뒤가 아니고 바니홉은 그 차는 게 우선이거든요. 그러니까 앞으로 가는 게 아니고 내려갔다가 뒤로 가는 거 L자가 되는 거죠. 이렇게.
앞뒤 하면서
앞뒤를 하지 마시고 앉았다가 뒤로 가는 거를 연습해요. 그대로 앞으로 가지 마시고. 네, 그게 거기서 힘이 보내고 일어나지를 못해서 바퀴가 그만큼만 뜨는 거고 이렇게 되는 거죠. 이렇게만 하시는 거거든요 지금. 그냥 여기서 그냥 여기서
In mountain biking, the act of hopping one's bike is called a bunny hop. The particular technique shown here is an American bunny hop. But to me, hopping is hopping. First of all, your bike doesn't matter much. Full suspension, full rigid, hardtail, flat pedals, clipless pedals, they're all fine. No matter what bike you have, go ahead and drop your seat as low as it can go. This will give you more room to maneuver your bike while learning. To bunny hop, you need to jump yourself into the air and take your bike with you. You weigh a lot more than your bike, so think of it as a passenger. So if you can't do this, then it's going to be even harder while holding your bike. Make sense? Now on to the technique. The first step is to practice getting into the meerkat position. That is standing straight up with your bars at your waist. That is standing straight up with your bars at your waist. That is standing straight up with your bars at your waist. For starters, you can just try getting your front wheel off the ground. For starters, you can just try getting your front wheel off the ground. For starters, you can just try getting your front wheel off the ground. A lot of people have trouble with this part in particular, and it usually comes down to the preload. By this, I mean forcing your way downwards before you pop up. I mean forcing your way downwards before you pop up. I mean forcing your way downwards before you pop up. If your bike has suspension, it'll compress, and you should pop back up in sync with it. It'll compress, and you should pop back up in sync with it. It'll compress, and you should pop back up in sync with it. It'll compress, and you should pop back up in sync with it. And remember, it's you that's popping up, and your bike that's coming along with you. And remember, it's you that's popping up, and your bike that's coming along with you. Don't do this. Do this. Once you get the hang of that, you can go full meerkat by snapping your bars to your waist. Okay, so preload, meerkat position, what now? 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 Well, now all you have to do is lunge forwards. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Of course, this will only get you so high, but now you have the tools to go higher. While going meerkat, you should be jumping straight upwards. See? Jump up, snap your bars to your waist, and continue to jump upwards. Jump up, snap your bars to your waist, and continue to jump upwards. If you do it with enough force, your bike can come along for the ride. Don't worry about your pedals, don't worry about what kind of bike you have, just meerkat.
The bunny hop almost drove me into despair. I'm serious. I almost quit mountain biking because I was unable to learn to bunny hop. This is me 7 years ago. And this is me today. Although I have progressed a lot, still today I struggle with increasing the height of my hops. And that's because I committed a huge error when I started learning the bunny hop. The error? You'll know why you do not need a high manual to bunny hop, and why you do not need to be able to perform a rear wheel lift either. Before we begin dissecting the hop, let's talk about terminology first, hop. In this video, we will briefly look at a move often referred to as a bunny hop, which is this move, which in this video I will be calling a bunny hop landing front wheel first, and sometimes also a bunny flop, because that's what many people also call it. But mainly we will be looking at this move, which many people and even instructors think is the same. But actually it's not. It's a bunny hop landing both wheels at the same time, or even slightly rear wheel first. This is the bunny hop we will be looking at in detail in this video, because it's the real deal. Many tutorials claim a strong hip movement, a high manual, and the necessity to be able to lift the rear wheel by scooping it. Well, bear with us to find out why these beliefs actually screw up your bunny hops. So let's take a look at the movement in detail now. The first part is a mini manual. Why mini manual? Because it's only a very small manual. To make this clearer, I have brought a manual into the picture here to compare. Here I have a manual on the left side, and here on the right side, the first part of a bunny hop. Looks very similar at first. But if we look closer, you will see that on the left side, on the manual move, the hips are much further back and the front wheel is high. On the right side, you see that the hips are not as far back, although the front wheel is just as high. How come? Well, let's reverse engineer this. So let's back up a little bit right here. You'll see that Bernie's hips do not move any further back, but the front wheel is still rising. How does this happen? No, it's not magic, although for years I actually thought that. That's because the opening move of the bunny hop, i.e. the manual, is already interrupted by the next partial move of the bunny hop. The next partial move is not, however, as most claim, bringing the hips forward or upward or wherever. Instead, the next move is bringing the arm towards...
Like it or not, bunny hops are made by the arms, not the legs. So never skip arm day.
So what are the arms doing? The arms now pull the handlebars towards the thighs, which brings the front wheel higher and creates the pop, so the height of a real bunny hop. And if you combine this movement with a springing up motion, the rear wheel now lifts. So now the arms come into play once again. The next step is now lifting the bike up with the hands and then pushing the handlebars forward and then bending the legs, which aligns the bike in the air and allows for a landing over both tires. And here, by the way, this is an e-mountain bike weighing over 25 kilograms. Yep, that's over 50 pounds, and the height of the hop is easily 45 centimeters, which is about 18 inches. So why was I so crap at learning this, and which error did I commit? Well, I actually committed 2 errors. One, I started learning the bunny hop too early. I started practicing right when I started to even ride a mountain bike with no solid foundation whatsoever, ingraining my foundational errors with every session. Why? Because I repeated them over and over again. And what did this do? Well, every practice session actually took me further away from my goal. Error 2 was I trusted an ex-pro rider who still coaches but has no coaching qualification whatsoever. And every time someone claims a technique to be the only right one, be cautious. So his one and only technique was his way. And apart from the fact that now I know that these movement patterns are totally limiting, they just didn't work for me because I'm petite. He, for example, taught me a manual with a complete leg extension and taught me a quick forward hip thrust and a scooping motion afterwards, which actually both will screw up your bunny hops for real. So no, you do not need a scooping motion, and no, you do not need to actively bring the hips anywhere unless the maximum bunny hop height you ever want. And here's some bonus info. So why do we think the bunny hop with an even landing over both tires or a landing slightly over the rear wheel is better than a bunny hop where you land over the front wheel? Well, first of all, a bunny hop with a landing over the front wheel is not wrong, and it is still a bunny hop, even though it's often referred to as a bunny flop. But you will always be limited if this is the only technique you know. So let's look at the two moves side by side. Bunny flop left and bunny hop right. The initiation of the move looks similar, but then left you can see a forward hip movement, and right you can see the front wheel still rising and the hips moving upwards. The maximum height of your hips is what marks the maximum possible height of lifting the bike. And here it's visible that the technique with the hips moving forward on the left, aka the bunny flop technique, therefore limits your possible overall bunny hop height, and it adds a forward spin to the move. Hence, if you can only perform a bunny hop with a landing over the front wheel, it becomes very dangerous if you want to use this bunny hop, for example, to jump down from obstacles, to jump up to a large obstacle, or if you increase the height of the hop. Also, if you use this bunny hop motion with the forward spin for jumps, which is totally legitimate to use a bunny hop motion for some jumps or to increase the height of a jump, it is super dangerous.
Because the forward spin becomes an over the handlebar spin very quickly. In addition, it is impossible to learn advanced maneuvers like a bunny hop to manual if you can only perform a bunny hop with a landing over the front wheel.
But again, I'm not saying a bunny hop with a landing over the front wheel is wrong, and it does of course have its uses, and we also teach it in our course. But it simply has its limitations, so it's not the real deal. So if your goal is to jump only small obstacles and that's your final goal, and you never want to use this technique as a foundation for airtime, then of course it's perfectly adequate to learn a bunny hop with a landing over the front wheel. I also often use it on the trails. But the real deal is to master both types of bunny hops so you can actively influence the angulation of your bike in every situation. And why is that? Well, a bunny hop requires muscle groups that we almost never use in this way in everyday life. The skill is not only about technique, so about using the right movements in the right order at the right time, it's also about strength and coordination. However, since we almost never need these muscles in this way in everyday life, your body needs time to develop this strength and coordination. You probably acknowledge that if you go to the gym every day for a week, this will not build a huge biceps. You're not going to build huge muscles and impressive strength within a week, right? Well, therefore, when practicing the bunny hop, be just as realistic in your goal setting. You will not learn the bunny hop within a few days. Coordination and strength do not develop within a few days. It's neurologically and anatomically impossible.
오늘 내일이 원래 저기 연습봉 5회차인가 있는 날인데 오늘 거참유 형님이랑 같이 매뉴얼 연습했습니다. 매뉴얼이었나? 윌리 바니홉 연습했는데 예전에 기계 갖다 했었을 때 다운, 백, 업 그걸 할 때 너무 늦게 했어갖고 실전에서는 더 빨리 해야 된다는 거. 그리고 제가 문제점은 다운을 제대로 안 하고 백했다. 그리고 백하고 업을 할 때 다리가 다 깨졌다. 그게 문제점이었고 형님은 오늘 바니홉 성공했습니다. 그렇고 한 5cm 뛰셨나요? 10cm. 어쨌든 완전히 성공했어. 이제 좀만 더 하면 된다.
10cm는 안 했을까? 아, 실제 됐어요. 사진 찍어보면.
센치는 확실히 넘어, 진짜. 15cm라고 하겠습니다. 15cm. 네, 선호 형이 치워주셔갖고 한번 뛰어보겠습니다.
길지도 않고.
딱 좋다.
풀어야 안 들지.
근데 우와. 10cm 성공. 좀 더 뒤에서 너무 가깝더라고. 일 시키고 있습니다.
무서워.
지금 마지막까지 안전하게. 자, 고! 화이팅! 나이스. 많이 좋았어.
이번에 또 제대로 떴다.
제가 점프대 내려갈 때마다 자동 브레이크를 잡았는데 이제는 브레이크를 안 잡게 되는 게 있습니다. 그래도 조심해야 돼. 뭔가 이상한데?
슬로우 모션으로 찍었어. 늦었다. 너무 빨리 일어났지.
그렇네.
보이지? 여기서부터 일어나.
그렇네.
그러니까 들뜨는 거야. 벌써 일어났죠? 네. 그래도 많이 떴어요. 근데 지금도 빨리 일어났습니다.
그러니까 일어나는 포인트가 빠르다는 거지. 한 번 더. 때까지 한다. 될 때까지.
여기
야, 근데 그 업을 나는 제대로 맞게 했다고 생각했는데 너무 빨리 업한 거야, 다. 형님도 그러고.
에서는 그게 보이지?
예. 근데 넘어지진 않는 포인트니까 그냥 이 정도 맞는 것 같아. 자세 완전 개판 안 하면은 안 다치잖아. 이번엔 좀 늦게 일어났어요? 다리 구부렸어. 다리 구부렸어. 뭔가 불안했는데? 뭔가 불안했어. 다리를 펴야 되는데 안 펴지는구나, 자꾸. 겁나니까.
슬라가 접어. 슬라 그러다가 접어. 출발. 손에 힘이 들어가. 벌써 떴을 때 핸들이 돌아갔어.
나는 다리 접고.
너는 다리 접고.
지금 점프를 많이 뛰었는데요. 대충 뛰는 걸로는 절대 안 된다. 그리고 옆에서 계속 잔소리 해주니까 아, 내 몸이 어떻게 되고 있구나를 제가 느낄 수 있었습니다. 중요한 거는 얘기를 해도 모른다는 거. 그리고 겁이 나갖고 자꾸 몸을 뒤로 뺀다거나 고개가 뒤로 빠진다거나 이런 실수가 많았는데요. 나중에는 이제 점프할 때 업을 최대한 늦게 해야 돼요. 천천히. 천천히 빨리 하는데 나중에 해야 된다. 앞바퀴가 뛸 때 그때 업을 하니까 이제 몸이 뜨는 게 느껴지고 어쨌든 그랬습니다. 너무 재밌었고요. 다음번에도 또 내일 또 연습 계속 해보겠습니다. 연습이 참 재밌었습니다. 오, 스노우라이딩. 야, 낭만적이다 길이. 오! 오! 살려주세요. 괜찮아. 야, 그래 다행이다. 안 다쳤어. 여기 부딪힐까봐 걱정했는데. 감사합니다. 야, 순간 깜짝 놀랐어.
부럽다고 생각하고 앞에다 힘을 뺐을 때 손을 돌 때 과감하게 눕혀 자전거를. 그러면 접지가 더 잘 돼. 여기서 이렇게만 가는 거야. 이렇게 가야 되는데 몸이 가니까 중심이 깨.
어떻게 넘어졌는지 몰라. 무릎 써야 하나 막 그러고 있었는데 싹 미끄러지네.
그러니까 이렇게 빠져가지고 타니까 앞이 가벼워지는 거야.
오케이.
살짝 밀어줘야 돼 앞을.
야, 속도가 있으니까 그냥 쫙 미끄러지는데.
기술일까요? 운일까요? 굉장히 가파르고 상당히 울퉁불퉁한 흙언덕을 내려오는데 남자 선수는 미끄러져 자빠지는데 말입니다. 허나 이 여자 선수는 내려오면서 뒷바퀴가 미끄러져 털리는 와중에도 중심을 기가 막히게 잡으면서 자빠지지 않고 상당히 잘 내려가네요.
아까 바람 넣어서 더 그런 것 같아. 바람 넣어서 더 그런 것 같아.
바람 넣는 거하고 상관없다니까.
야, 그래도 화당 안 해서 다행이다. 슬라이딩 해갖고 앞에 나무 있어갖고 겁나더라고. 조심해야 되겠네. 알겠습니다.
살짝 앞쪽에 힘을 줘야 돼.
그렇네. 또 미끄러져. 앞바퀴가 미끄러지네. 슬립나. 스키딩 장난 아니야. 뒷브레이크.
계속 앞에 들어가면서.
아니, 잠깐만, 그거 하고 있어.
재밌죠?
(180도) 들어갔어. 오늘 완전히 유익한 시간이었습니다. 연습뻥 번외편. 그래서 그 바니홉이랑 점프, 이거 바니홉을 연습하는 게 매우 중요하다. 그때 이제 원리들이 점프에서도 다 동일하게 될 수 있고요. 나머지는 제 영상을 통해서 오늘 배웠던 것들 한번 정리해 드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.